Harry's Wife, Part 104.75. She cannot stop revising history. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Narcissists repeatedly revise history. Why? Well, you should know by now. It's linked, of course, to the prime aims. Revising history will enable a narcissist to nullify threats to control. So, for instance, you've been having an affair. No, I haven't. I don't know what you're talking about. Denial, and in effect a revision of history by denying something has taken place. I know you have. I saw you outside of Jim Jam's bar, canoodling with a buxom blonde. I don't know what you're talking about. That wasn't me. Denial. I was at Waitrose, buying your quinoa. As you know, I always do that on a Friday at that time. Or the narcissist will revise history to say, I can't believe that you said this about me last night. And of course, the victim, perhaps having partaken of libation, struggles to recall precisely what did go on last night. Did they say the thing that they are accused of? They don't think that they did. But the narcissist is adamant. And of course, the narcissist is adamant on two bases. Either as an unaware narcissist, the narcissism compels them to believe through the rewriting of the narrative that the victim did say something outrageous at the event the night before. An aware narcissist knows that they didn't, but still says it because it's entertaining to see that person's mind being scrambled, and they're able to do it with such speed and conviction as to be effective. Narcissists regularly revise history because it's linked to the fact that the narcissist must control and draw fuel. And revising history to change the narrative, one of Harry's wife's favourite words, is something that the narcissist engages in because it enables the narcissist to nullify threats to control, to assert control, and to provoke reactions to draw fuel. It's often done with plausibility, that what the narcissist tells you has occurred causes you to believe it. And of course, this is what leads into the gaslighting. Because at point A, the narcissist will say a particular thing, and then at point B may well deny what was said at point A because the narcissism has quite literally rewritten the script and caused that event to be deleted from the narcissist's mind or viewed in an alternative fashion. And so the narcissist regurgitates their version of what has gone on. It's a little bit like making a film, and then when you come to watch it later on, the film that you're watching bears no resemblance to what you believe that you filmed in the first place. You can see that, but the narcissist doesn't. Where it's an unaware narcissist, the film that they're watching is what they believe they filmed. And of course, they could then show a different version of it moments later and believe that that new version is the only version that ever existed. Such is the way that the narcissism operates to delete what has gone before, to rewrite it, to reinstate it, so long as that enables the assertion of control of you and the drawing of fuel. This is invariably what leads to the complete head-fucking of a victim, that they don't know whether they're coming or going, and they start to doubt themselves. Perhaps I'm mistaken. He seems so convinced about what he's saying. I'm not sure anymore about what my reality is. And of course, this revision of history leads you by the hand into the territory of gaslighting. The revision of history is a necessity born out of denial, the telling of lies, all linked, of course, to the pursuit of the prime aims. Harry's wife does it regularly. She will deny things that actually took place, and she'll invent things that never took place. For instance, she will talk about the fact that she attended a Korean spa and ate noodles whilst naked. That did not happen. Her narcissism commandeered it from a cartoon and caused Harry's wife to believe that that was a lived experience for her. In a way, if you think about, you may well have seen the Blade Runner films and the issue of memories, and in Blade Runner 2049, Ryan Gosling goes to speak with a woman that creates memories. And therefore, the replicants believe that those memories are their lives, but they're actually fabricated, that that individual is skilled enough to create them, but they seem genuine. They seem like they are real memories to those that are not afforded the knowledge that they are not. And it's the same with an unaware narcissist. The narcissism essentially messes with the memories, creating ones that didn't exist, shaping ones that did in a different way, and deleting others as and when it's suitable and necessary to do so. With Harry's wife, her narcissism invents things out of fresh air or sometimes commandeers somebody else's memory or experience and passes it off as her own. So, for example, there is the naked noodle story. Of course, the prominent instance of where her narcissism invented the fact that a cast member purportedly said to her, "Oh, in South Africa we celebrated when you married Harry in the way that we all celebrated when Nelson Mandela left prison." Didn't happen, but her narcissism convinced her that it did. Similarly, when she talked about the heater catching fire and causing a major drama in relation to Archie, didn't happen. There was a little bit of smoke and Archie wasn't in the room, but her narcissism convinced her to talk about how there was a fire and that there was a problem. They were expected to then continue with engagements thereafter as part of a pity play. So it's a revision of history combined with a pity play to assert control and draw fuel. The problem that Harry's wife is that she's roundly been exposed as a liar. A combination of the fact that some of the things she says just really don't bear up to scrutiny. They are the sort of Walter Mitty porky pies that people come out with. British viewers may be familiar with The In-Betweeners and a comical character called Jay who comes out with some right whoppers about the fact that he shagged 5 supermodels whilst he was on holiday. Everybody knows that he's talking shit. Harry's wife engages in similar whoppers, for example, talking about the fact that when the host of Jeopardy died, she received condolency texts from people about the fact that he died. Just didn't happen, but she believes that it did. But people read about her or hear her talking about that and reach the firm conclusion, what a load of absolute bollocks that is. Furthermore, she's been exposed as a liar because in other instances it's less obvious that she's telling a whopper, but then contradictory evidence appears, which over time people prefer compared to what she says. And of course, the more that she lies in order to assert control and nullify those threats to control and draw fuel, etc., the more there is this build-up of people just not believing her. Some narcissists get away with this because what they do is they will lie within one particular group, and then when people start to see through them, the narcissist senses that they're struggling to control those people and they move on to fresh pastures. And so you can see that some narcissists in your community will be friends with that group and then move on to another group and move on to another group and move on to another group and so on and so forth. It can happen within the workplace, different friendships within the workplace, even with regard to different family members. It's almost like an animal grazing in one particular spot until there's nothing more to be had there and then moving on elsewhere. The problem that Harry's wife has is that the desperation she had for prominence and fame, or infamy perhaps, means that she is regularly monitored by so many people who are sick and tired of her nonsense and lies that they're waiting, watching, anticipating the next whopper, and she's fact-checked over and over again. The fact that she's hired her own fact-checker doesn't seem to have got her anyway so far. And instead, there are legions of fact-checkers sat scrutinising the internet, and when she says something, they then look at, well, did this actually happen? Did she not say something contradictory to that? So, for example, where she talks about the fact that Doria, her mother, played such a part in her life, immediately people go, but she didn't. She wasn't around. It was your father that brought you up. Your mother was elsewhere, suspected of being in prison, although not yet confirmed. Accordingly, the prominence that Harry's wife has achieved actually starts to work against her because, unlike a less prominent narcissist who could, as I say, move from pasture to pasture without too much difficulty, every time she does it, there are millions of people all going, but that didn't happen, or that contradicts with what you said before, and it just builds up more and more evidence to demonstrate what she is. And here we have some video evidence which catches her out. This comes from her appearance on a children's television program, Chopped Junior, from a few years ago, and I'm going to let the clip play, which is interspersed with some other aspects of the competition. There we are. And two factors in this. I'm going to obviously analyse her behaviours that you see, seen through the lens of her narcissism, but also it demonstrates another whopper that she's told in there compared to what she said recently. And one of what she has said has to be false, which demonstrates once again her revisions of history. Here comes the clip.
Meghan Markle, welcome.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Meghan Markle, food judge. The future princess appeared as a judge on the Food Network show Chopped Jr. The year was 2016.
Growing up, your fondest memories, at least for me, are in the kitchen.
Meghan was honest but nice about this youngster's dish.
Unfortunately, the yogurt sauce didn't really fit with everything else that we had going on the plate. But I will say, I really enjoyed eating your food. This dish reminded me of the kind of food that I grew up eating in California, like that real sort of farm-to-table fresh, really simple ingredients.
That was my goal there.
Macy Boosin won.
I just remember thinking, oh my God, she's really pretty. She was just like a really positive person. Like, she wasn't like intimidating or scary at all.
Beauty, brains, and she loves food. Looks like Prince Harry is one lucky guy.
Okay, you've seen the footage, which I'll provide you with brief clips of her appearance on the Chopped Junior competition from a number of years ago when she was first seeing old Ginger Bollocks. You notice the first thing is that where she's welcomed onto the show, she talks about being so excited to be here, which is said with her eyes showing that she's far from excited to be there, and with a tone that is almost robotic, which is demonstrative of another glitch of hers, as her narcissism, of course, goes off to play the imitation game, the cherry picker going into that vast warehouse trying to find the appropriate response and reaction that she should demonstrate, and it comes up short, at least to a seasoned eye such as mine. We're then treated to her commenting about the yogurt not quite matching the rest of the meal, but she did really enjoy eating that person's food, which again is a form of flattery, which is her asserting control over the non-intimate secondary, or beg your pardon, non-intimate tertiary source, which is the child that had presented this food to her. Again, it's said in a somewhat patronising manner, devoid of any real expression, something we've come to expect from the robotic Harry's wife. But the big aspect of all of this is that when she moves on to the second meal, she talks about, "This dish reminded me of the kind of food I grew up eating in California, like that, real farm-to-table fresh, really simple ingredients." Yeah, right. Apparently you were always eating TV dinners, so which one is it? Were you eating TV dinners and watching Jeopardy? Or were you dining at Sizzler? Or were you enjoying that real farm-to-table fresh? Which one is it? Because it can't be all three, because you hold yourself out as either being she is almost a latchkey kid watching television and having TV dinners, but then that contradicts with the fact that you said that most of the time you found yourself on the film set with your father, or the TV set. So we have all of these contrasting revisions of history. So what happens, of course, is that Harry's wife, at point A, her narcissism dictates, say this in order to assert control over the people around you, and it doesn't care whether it's a lie, it doesn't care whether it's contradicting something she said before. All it cares about is getting that control and getting that fuel in the moment. Now, ordinarily, that wouldn't matter so much, because most of you don't live your lives being recorded on television, or everything you do, or nearly everything you do, you put out there so that it's in magazines and newspapers and online media, etc. But with Harry's wife, of course, she does, because she's thirsty for that fuel, and she needs to assert control. And once again, as a mid-range narcissist, the collateral consequence is that she builds up a record of her lies, which is then quite easy to see. I think her father said that she only actually attended on the TV sets on one day a week on the Friday, if my memory serves me correctly, and therefore that would suggest that her suggestion that she was there all of the time wasn't correct. And therefore, that might be the case that she was having those TV dinners and therefore wasn't having the real farm-to-table fresh food, or she was having that, though I'm not sure who was cooking it, and therefore she wasn't having the TV dinners and wasn't watching Jeopardy. Whichever way you look at it, there's a lie in amongst all of that, and possibly several lies, all occasioned of the revision of history. Laughingly, of course, the commentator, not knowing anything about Harry's wife, describes her as beauty, brains, and the fact that she loves food, and Prince Harry is a lucky guy. Yeah, I'm sure Harry's thinking that now as he stands on his own in Hawaii, looking at war memorials, thinking, what the fuck have I done? But once again, a video analysis which tells us a little bit more about her behaviours, but also goes to the heart of the fact that she cannot stop revising history, and we can see it oh so clearly. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for watching.